Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Bedford County Sports Talk Live. I'm David Thomas. I have with me Mr. Bill Anderson, and I'm not sure who that is on the end over there, but kind of looks like Kenny Parker, but I'm not sure.
I grew some hair over the holiday.
But welcome to 2024, the 2024 edition of Bedford County Sports Talk Live. And it's been a day or two since we've sat down. A lot of stuff has happened, guys.
A whole lot. Especially if we'd been, even if we'd have met last week.
Yeah,
a whole lot of
there's
stuff.
A whole lot of stuff still going on. This past week has been action packed. But let's lay some stuff to rest. I've got these sheets where we picked our college football bowls.
I don't even need to hear it.
You don't even need to hear it. I'm not even going to talk about the results, but
yeah, we know who won.
Okay.
Dr. Garrett, because she didn't play.
She didn't play, yeah. We missed it big time on our championship game.
There's no way to pick these because you don't know who is even going to be on.
Well, I'm talking
team.
about the championship.
We missed it also.
Yeah. I had Texas and Michigan. You had Texas and Michigan play, and I picked Texas.
I had Texas and Alabama.
Yeah, you were hoping for a rematch there.
Yeah.
Hey, it just played out the way it played out, but I was disappointed in Alabama. I thought they should get there. But, man, Michigan just rolled. They played good.
You know, Alabama had it going well until it was 4th and 2, and the guy went out of the backfield, and we didn't even cover him. We'd make that play there. You know,
it's a different game. Yeah. Well, guys, college football's over with.
It's over.
And let's shift now to Bedford County sports. We've got high school basketball teams in action. We've got high school wrestling that's taking place. A lot of good things going on in the county. But, guys, basketball this year, Bedford County is lagging. We're suffering a little bit. We've got a lot of rebuilding going on, a lot of young teams playing.
A lot of youth.
Bill, you got some scores for us?
Shovel girls had a tough one last night, lost to Warren County. And Warren County had won but 2 or 3 ball games, I don't think. 64-59. The Shovel boys, Coach Young was missing a couple of players, I know, and Warren County handling pretty good, 71-45. Talk a little bit about Cascade Community, which was last week, but we hadn't been on the show. But the community girls, 51-40, and Robbie Davis has got the community boys playing good basketball, 72-52 over Cascade.
I was there last week. The girls' game was very, very good ball game. Cascade was up by 1 at halftime. Community changed a little bit of what they were doing in the second half, and I was really impressed. Community playing a lot of young. They're super young.
Yeah.
Sophomores and freshmen young. And Cascade girls played well. It was a real exciting game. Community pulled away right there at the end to win, but community boys looked really
They're
good.
Coming on pretty good.
They look
How
really
did they
good.
do last night?
Last night, the community girls beat Chapel Hill 61-36, and the boys lost a tough one, 53-50, really tough one.
But I really, their boys look really good. Cascade just sort of didn't look like they really had it going on. Didn't look like anybody wanted to score, but a lot of that was because the way community played.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed with community.
After Coach Davis started a little slow, he's really come on the last month or so. And they're hitting their stride right now.
The year with a lot of question marks about what's going on.
They had there's a young man, he's a blonde-headed guy. I think his name is Lover. Really impressed me. He played very, very good.
Well, we've got this going on. All these teams are now in their district schedule.
And Cascade didn't play last night. They're going to play at Grundy County today.
At 3:30, is that right?
I'm not sure what time. I know they're leaving at 11:45 to go. So
Rosie Wright says, hello, good morning, my friends. Good morning, Rosie. Good to have you on this morning. Anybody out there that is watching this and has a comment or any information you'd like to pass along, please interact with us. But we'd like to thank our sponsors, guys. We've got 3 outstanding sponsors. Let's give them a shout out. We've got First Bank of Shelbyville here on Madison Street. And then we have Kincaid
Service Company
here right down the road on Madison Street. And then we have Corner Cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Miss Susie out at Corner Cleaners. They do an outstanding job.
Sure do.
And Miss Susie's
more than just
cleaning.
More than just cleaning. Tuxedos, candles.
Yeah, and you know what? It's January right now, and it'll be prom time before you know it.
You're right.
In a blink of an eye.
That's right.
All those kids will be flooding in out there to see Miss Susie. She'll take care of you out there. But guys, we want to thank these sponsors, and they're continuing on with us, and we appreciate that. It makes this show possible. It lets us have a lot of fun.
Sure enough.
All right, guys, this past week has been a crazy sports week. The coach merry-go-round has cranked up.
Some you were expecting.
Yeah.
Some you weren't expecting.
I'm surprised Saban. I thought he'd go another year.
I
knew it was close.
People had asked me. I felt like it was probably a couple of years, but then I go to thinking about, as a coach, it's different. The game of college football has changed
A lot.
and you spend as much time in the recruiting as you do, and then you get a young man, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, to commit to you, and then in a year or two, they're gone.
Well, let me ask you this.
With the transfer.
Well, I think the NIL did. I think the NIL
and the
did.
thing
Saban
about
in.
it is, to me, I'm looking at this as a reverse order. Also, they look at the coach. Are you going to be here all 3 or 4 of my years? Well, then, as the coach, you can't look at them and say, "Well, you going to be here all 3 or 4 of mine also?" Because they're not.
Kenny, I'm having a hard time taking you serious with the hat.
I can't do it.
I'm trying to be serious and taking this in, but I'm about to crack up on you.
Hey, that's all right. That's cool.
I get what you're saying, but let me ask you guys this. I know a lot of this came about because student athletes have committed their whole life to football, basketball, whatever it is, whatever sport they're playing, and they don't have an income. I get that. They get their school paid for, but a lot of these kids are coming, they don't have parents that can support
But they
them.
do have an income.
What?
They are making some. I'm not sure what the amount is.
Is there an allowance of
Oh
some
yes.
sort?
Oh yes.
I did not know that. I thought it
Yes.
was, all these
No,
coaches getting in trouble for giving them a couple $100 to.
No, there's a stipend out
We
there.
go back and look at Jeremy Pruitt.
Way more than a siphon out there. There's NIL money.
There's NIL
but I'm
money out there
saying-
now.
You got some kids making millions of dollars.
Okay, that
in
has
college.
changed his sport to where it's not college
And,
athletics.
Exactly.
and players don't play for the. It's basically a farm league pro team.
Exactly what it is, and here's what it does. I
And
think
with me for the NIL. Well, let's not go there. The transfer portal.
Yeah.
Tennessee high school sports is getting into this also.
I know.
I think you ought to be able to move one time.
Well,
you can move one time, and then if you get your degree, because that's where it started. It started where if you got your degree at Alabama and you still had a year left, because you got your degree, you could go somewhere. And then it started opening up. I don't think, when you look at some of these bowl games I watched, some of these young men have played on 3 different college
But
teams.
that's the whole problem I see. They're still in their education process.
Sure.
And we are teaching them by allowing them all this jumping around of lack of commitment. If you don't
can't-
like something, just go hop to something else.
You can't build a program.
No.
You can't because if you try to build it and you hurt their feelings or you make it too hard on them, they'll leave.
But here's my question. I'm not worried about hurting the program now. What are we doing to the kids?
But I think this is going to be a trickle down effect to the NFL because these kids leave here. I think you're going to see it hurt the game, especially in the NFL.
It might very well do it.
I think you're going to see kids. I think you're going to see kids stay in school, possibly even longer now. This NIL deal. Let's just take, for example, you're a big quarterback.
Sure.
Okay, you're making $4 million a year. So unless you're guaranteed to be a first-round draft pick, you're better off staying in school and making more money.
Yeah.
And if you're a good one, the young man at USC, if you're a good one, what kind of team are you going to?
A bad one.
And do you want to? The thing about it
and
is,
does that not change your career based on where you go?
Yeah, and with the NFL, they've got a set where if you're this pick, you get this much. If you're this pick, you get this much. Some of these kids in NIL may be making more in college than they will in the pros.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why they're going to stay.
This past week or the week before, I was listening to ESPN, one of the sports shows, and they were talking about this kid that had played somewhere. He's going on his 7th year. He got a super COVID year or something. Did y'all hear who that was?
Oh yeah, there's a couple of them
going into 7 years in college.
I didn't realize who it was the other day, but the quarterback for Texas, how do you say his name? Uber.
He's coming back again.
Yeah.
All right. Years ago, when he was one of the first ones with NIL, when he originally signed out of high school to Ohio State,
right,
$1 million.
Yeah.
$1 million.
Yeah.
Went to Ohio State, come back. $1 million kid going out of high. Florida State's just got in some big time trouble with this NIL money because they offered the Mims, he's a left tackle for Georgia that's going pro. It got found out somehow or another that they offered him a lot of money with this NIL trying to move him over. I mean,
would y'all agree that the NIL and this transfer portal is hurting college football? I think it's absolutely just changed.
And people like Coach Saban left in football. Go back to Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, Roy Williams at North Carolina. They weren't going to play this game, so they decided to retire even earlier.
Well, that could be part of what Saban was looking at.
I don't disagree with that.
I think that had a lot to do with it.
But all right, so let's look at that. Who is?
But let me tell y'all who's going to benefit from this because he knows how to play the game. And that's Mr. Lane Kiffin down at Ole Miss. Look at that portal.
You've got to learn how to play the game. It's a different game. I agree.
And he's ahead of the curve on everybody because he's got Mississippi set up next week to win
the
SEC.
Sure.
And whoever is going to go up against him, the new coach, what's his name from Washington, that's going to take St. Nick's place. So he's going to come in. There's probably going to be some shifting of players, so he's going to have a year or two to settle that down.
He's going to bring some players in also.
Yeah, he will. He will, and they'll gel pretty quick, but I don't think they're going to gel fast enough to compete with Mississippi.
Oh, I do. Number 2 recruiting class. There's a lot of talent there.
You think?
I think he will.
It's going to be between them two next year.
His style of offense.
Georgia.
Georgia's out there.
Oh, yeah.
Them two going to have to play
I'm talking about in the West. Well, there's not.
There ain't a West.
Well, we got Texas. Anymore. We got Texas and Oklahoma in the mix, too. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting next year. But let's talk about the coaches. All right.
Right.
You got the board coming to Alabama.
Great hire.
Okay.
Great hire. I agree. Okay. 104-12 career coaching record.
I mean, there's a lot of talk, a lot of chatter. Do y'all see any other big changes coming in the country?
Oh, there's going to be. There's always going to be. I was made the comment as I was talking to some of my friends. I'd love to see the offensive coordinator come with him from Washington, but I don't think that will happen. I think he will land the Washington job,
I do too.
which will be deserving. But yeah, I do. There's going to be another one. Where it is, I'm not sure. But
it's Michigan.
There's always going to be.
That's where it's going to be right now. He's going to the NFL. Hired an NFL agent.
All right, we're going to segue into the NFL here. Where do you think Harbaugh ends up coaching next year?
If the Bears can get him, they'll make the move.
He's NIL-ing.
That's what he's doing.
Whoever's going to get.
It's going to give me power and money.
Whoever's going to give him what he wants.
Right. Who wants him?
Somebody will.
I know, but who is it?
You would think the Chargers would really want him, and you would think the Chargers it's a very appealing job because the roster's better there. Something's wrong there, though. You got top 5 talent on defense. I would just name off all-star after all-star, and then they stay hurt. They don't play well. But that roster's loaded.
Yeah.
Now they've got cap problems, but that could easily be fixed
Before
too.
we completely slip away from college football and get into Titans talk, MTSU, Derek Mason, we talked about this great hire. He's headed in the right direction with Middle Tennessee State.
Recruiting local kids.
I look for that program
I do too.
to be on the uptrend.
Hope so.
I do too, because we're right here. Really, it's our home school. Mm-hmm. I mean, I went to MTSU.
I went to MTSU. Kenny went to MTSU.
I'm not sure who he's hired. Have you heard? I hadn't heard of.
Hadn't been watching that.
I haven't.
But I do know this. He is looking for local talent.
And
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you something, when you have a crowd of people there watching you, it changes. It's good for those kids out there playing ball because they've got some home people. They leave and go 5 states away. They ain't nobody in the crowd. They know.
I agree.
And it's going to help.
And then when you got a crowd, you don't have to play 3 SEC teams at the first of the season for the money.
Yeah, you do.
I think that's one of the downfalls.
Let
me tell you, how many, do the math, if it's $50 a ticket to get in at MTSU, how many $50 tickets are you going to have to sell to get your 2 to 3 million when you go to the SEC school?
Well, that's fine going to one. You don't have to go to 3 of them.
Well, listen, here's the thing. You got the SEC expanded so much now that conference schedule is going to eat up 8 games, 9 games, whatever it is. You're not going to have as much of that stepping down to play some of these smaller schools that you did.
I think you will.
Well,
too.
you're getting less.
You're not going to want. You're going to want to play the smaller school in the guaranteed win.
Right. There's going to be the cupcakes, but there's
bit.
not enough to go around. Is my point.
And,
you know what I'm saying?
and with them making it where it's 12 teams, you don't have to be 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah,
but I think you're still going to have some of that, but probably not as much.
Not as much. You got a limited amount of games to put on that schedule now, but it's going to be interesting to watch. All right, let's shift gears now and talk about Titans. Vrabel out the door. We've already talked about that.
Expecting that again, sort of like Saban, not this year, but a year or so. Yeah.
If he didn't get things turned around, it looked like he was going to. I thought he would stay around. I didn't think they would fire him, but he did. They did, and I think it all goes back to what y'all talked about.
I think there's some stuff internally that we don't know about. You know, we always talk about the chemistry in the locker room. I don't think there was chemistry in the upper locker room.
Well, when he made too many demands,
in the front office.
I think he wanted out, and I think he thought he got the Patriots job.
Right.
And clearly he did not.
He did not.
No, they hired Mayo immediately, didn't interview anybody.
And there was a clause in Mayo's contract that said that they didn't have. Yep.
Do you think Washington would have any interest in
I do.
Vrabel?
Sure. I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to have interest in it.
But I think he would
Belichick
and Vrabel both.
Vrabel.
I think Washington will go with Belichick.
Do you think Vrabel might sit out a year and come back? Or do you think he's going to hit the ground with a job real soon?
He very well may sit out. And I think again he's not where Harbaugh is, but I think he's in a place where
he's going to get another job. I don't know if it's this year.
He's going to get another job. He's too good a coach.
Sure.
And the players enjoy playing with him too much. He will.
But we can go back to that thing about complete control, like the owner said in that statement that's on Titans Wire. How many times has it worked where you gave the head coach? It's not. I mean, we could sit and count it every time it's been done. It hasn't worked.
I'm going to tell you, in high school, at one time I was the assistant principal at Cascade and the head football coach at Cascade, and that way too much.
Yes, too much. Yeah.
And I think it's too much for. I think a coach and the GM need to be wired together, but the GM needs to be over the drafting, but the coach needs to be right in there with
absolutely
him. Got to. I mean, if you're the coach, you got to have input on the players you're getting.
But these NFL teams have huge scouting departments, too.
Right, they do. They know the talent.
It's sometimes one individual. You need to take your whole team, and I hate to sound like Amy Adams Strunk, but it's a collaborative effort of all these employees together to get your list together.
Ever watch the movie Draft Day?
I was about to bring that.
That was a picture of how it should be done.
How it should be done.
Exactly, and that was an awesome movie. I could go back.
I watch it I watch it 2 or 3 times. I'll watch it again for Draft Day.
Yeah, it's awesome. But let's talk about now, Vrabel, the potential. Atlanta, Washington, San Diego still laying out there, but you think Harbaugh might be good there.
I don't think he's
not a West
Pete
Coast
Carroll,
guy.
who takes the Seattle job?
Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. I'd say that's a done. And they moved on from Pete a year early because they were afraid Quinn was fixing to get a job.
Yeah, could be.
I'm telling you that. Mark that down.
Thing. As much as I really admire and like their style of Belichick and Vrabel, a lot of the people in the NFL are ready to go away from that style. They're ready to go away from that. Vrabel's like Fisher. we're going to mash you in the mouth. We're going to mash you in the mouth. We're going to mash you in the mouth. We're going to win in the fourth quarter in a close ball game. I think
I've got a lead. I'm going to sit on it. That's what we. That's what cost us a bunch of games. I'm going to sit on a 3-point lead.
I think the owners are more. You brought up Kiffin. Kiffin knows how to go out and work this transfer portal and stuff. I think NFL is doing the same thing. That quick play. You throw it out there and.
All right.
I think it's score.
I think Drew brought this up about getting your talent in space. He mentioned that in that little show we did the other day, talking about, and that's who is succeeding right now in the NFL. Who can get your players?
You got to scheme a way to get your guys open.
Right. Okay. So Vrabel lands somewhere. What about Pete Carroll? Is he done? He wants to coach more.
I think he's out.
He's 72 years old. Belichick he's 72 years
old. Belichick's going to coach.
Belichick is 14 games away, away from being the
all right. I won't hear predictions. Where's Belichick end up?
Washington.
Okay.
I think
where does Vrabel end up?
I think Atlanta.
Atlanta for Vrabel or
for Belichick?
Okay. All right. What about the situation in Carolina? They just gutted the whole place and left the head coach.
I don't know who wants to work for that owner, to be honest with you. I mean, somebody does clearly, but I don't know. That's the worst job. That's the worst job in the league.
A lot of the coaches leaving, walking out the door, said the problem's still here.
Let's talk about the Alabama quarterback that they gave away. What's his name? Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Talk about going to a terrible place for Bryce Young. That kid, how's that kid supposed to succeed?
And got rid of his best receiver. Sent him to Chicago.
And that's just terrible. Now, what if he had gone to a better team? And I bet he looks a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm.
How would Bryce Young look in Denver somehow if he was out there with Sean Payton? I think he'd look pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about all of this, and we've got playoff games starting today.
We do,
guys. That's wild. But here's back to this. Bill, who's your top three for getting the Titans job?
I like the three offensive coordinators. The one from the Bengals, Callahan, especially if you could bring the daddy in, Bill Callahan, who's one of the best offensive line coaches in the history of the game. I think he did a really good job with Browning and Burrow. That's one. Probably my favorite one is the offensive coordinator with Ben Johnson with the Detroit Lions. Ben Johnson, he made Jared Goff look really good, and I don't think Jared Goff's really good.
Yeah.
And he had 3,000. What Drew brought this up? 3 1,000-yard receivers.
Yeah.
I tell you who.
That's amazing.
I tell you who I like. We'll get it. The offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans.
That's the one I think is the lead. That's the lead. I think him and Rand are tight.
Slowick. That connection right there with Rand, I think, gives him a leg up in the deal.
I do too, because you're going to that Shanahan tree, and it's all about.
It all goes back to the old Washington, where you had the Rams head coach, the McVay. You had the 49ers head coach. You have the Packers head coach.
The floor.
There's about 6 of them.
Have all been successful.
Miami's head coach.
Absolutely.
They're all on that tree, and the only one that's not a head coach right now,
D'Amico Ryans. Look at the job he did in Houston.
Is the offensive coordinator, and I think you're going to see this happening more in NFL. Used to, they didn't want the head coaches calling offense. But what happens, and I think they made this point at about Tennessee, is if you have an offensive coordinator who's doing good in calling, what's going to happen? Next year he's going to get a head coaching job, and now you're going to be without an offensive coordinator. And I think that is like an insurance policy for them. They want their head coach to be the one that's calling offense, so it don't change year to year.
But I think Amy Adams Strunk made it clear that she was going to hire based on who you can bring with you.
Right.
And she mentioned that many times about staff.
You got to have it. And Drew mentioned this the other day, talking about that's where Vrabel failed. He hired too many of his buddies. And he had the best staff.
Absolutely. Everything comes from within.
All right. So we've got wild card weekend coming up. Let's talk about the games today. We've got Cleveland at Houston.
I think that's going to be a heck of a ball
game. I'm taking Houston as on the upset right here.
I'm going to take Cleveland just because I think Cleveland's defense is better, and I think they might be better on defensive and offensive line than Houston.
I think C.J. Stroud.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's like
playing well.
he's like.
But look at the job Joe Flacco's done at 37
I
years
know,
old. Who saw that coming?
That's true. It's gonna be a good game.
I'm going to go with Houston just because.
Well, it's at home.
It's at home.
Yeah.
And they're playing well.
So is Cleveland.
Okay.
So is Cleveland.
Ice Bowl version 2 is also happening today. Miami at Kansas City, where they're expecting wind chills to be way below 0.
Yeah.
Question is
30.
that
I've heard negative 30s.
Is anybody going to that game?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yes, Kansas City fans are going.
Yeah,
I promise.
You think it's going to be full?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But who you going to pick? Who has the advantage with
Kansas City?
You think they do? Okay, because Miami's in warm weather. All right.
Tua's record. If y'all see this stat in temperatures less than 70 degrees, I know it's 60 degrees, less than 60 degrees, 6-13.
That ain't good.
No.
So you're saying the home team's going to win, Bill?
I'm saying the home team's going to win, but there's something wrong with this Kansas City team.
Yeah,
they're not.
This will be the last win they get in the playoffs. Whoever they play the next round, they're out.
I'm gonna say,
and I'll tell you something else that's going on in Kansas City right now too. The leery of Reed retiring.
Well, I mean that's all stuff that can get in your locker room and get people thinking about something besides football. But here's the thing:
all they need is a couple of receivers and catch the ball. They'll be fine.
I think you're right, Bill, by bringing up the two stat on the weather and so forth. I think the weather's going to beat Miami instead of Kansas City beating.
Right, because I think if that game were in Miami or in a neutral site, I'd be taking the Dolphins.
Here's the thing: Miami's best player used to play in that weather.
Exactly, that's true. But you got to get the ball to him. They're going to have to do some sweeps and some fast passes to him to get him in that space, like Drew.
I think this game might be a little tighter than this is. You would think the who runs the ball better.
Well,
I gotta say the Dolphins actually run the ball better.
What's the Todd Bobo line?
The type of run.
Todd Bobo line is 4 in this game.
The type of run.
Kansas City favorite.
The type of run. Yeah, the Dolphins run the ball better, but their running is more outside where Kansas City's up inside. And when it's cold, you want to be able to keep it tight and play tight.
Here's the big thing about this game. It's on the Peacock Network. Boo, 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 NFL. Boo.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
Now, if you're an advertiser, let's just say that we're Corporation A, and an average NFL playoff game brings in 30, 35 million viewers, and I've paid big money to you. I'm Budweiser, right?
Yeah.
And you put me on the Peacock Network with my ad, and I'm hitting 6 million instead of 36 million.
I'm going somewhere else.
The advertiser is the loser here.
Yeah.
And I think there's some consequences to this one.
I think the Peacock Network has got something to do with it. That's NBC, but that's their app, okay, that people have to pay to subscribe to.
Absolutely.
They're thinking they're going to get people to subscribe to Peacock just to watch a ball game.
Right.
That's what they're banking on.
I can assure you I'm not doing it, and I won't be watching the game. I'm out. I'm protesting.
All right, got it. So I can't. They're not going to get a new customer, but I'll go watch it there. All right. Tomorrow,
I just don't think a playoff game's different than even Thursday night football. Come on, man.
All right. Sunday, tomorrow.
Here's the snow game.
Pittsburgh and Buffalo.
They're saying a foot or more of snow, 60-mile-an-hour
They're
winds.
already recruiting shovelers, paying them $20 an hour
to get the
snow off the.
And think about the bleachers.
They do that at Green Bay also.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big deal.
Unlike Kansas City, this one's going to be tough to get people there because it's hard to get to Buffalo Stadium versus Kansas City. So this one's kind of out of ways. So it's going to be. I don't know how many people are going to get this.
Here's the thing: you're looking at Pittsburgh and Buffalo, two teams that know how to play in.
I'm sure they do.
That's their
teams that, unlike Miami and Kansas City, these two teams know how to play in that game.
But the line is 10. The Todd Bobo line is 10. Isn't that way too high?
Did I hear that this game, there was some talk about this game being moved to Cleveland, wasn't there?
There was.
There was also talk about the Kansas City game being moved about that too. So, but they're playing where they're playing. So, who you picking, Bill?
I'll take Buffalo, but I would take Pittsburgh in the points if I was betting because I just don't see it being a 10-point game. This game may be 10-7, 13-10.
It's going to be low scoring.
It's going to be low scoring.
I'll take Buffalo also, but I don't ever play the points.
All right, Green Bay at Dallas. Okay, Dallas. We don't have a weather factor there.
A lot of points scored in this game.
Yeah, it could very well be.
Dallas is at home.
Who you picking?
Well, you can look
I
at
see
me
the
and
hat.
tell.
I know who you're picking.
You can
All
look
right.
at me, and I think they have a good chance. Their offense is playing well. Their defense is picked up a little bit. Hopefully, they can continue to play. But I'm telling you, their offense is playing pretty good right
I think
now.
Green Bay did a great job getting to the playoffs. They did.
I agree.
They fought through adversity and they got there. But I'm afraid Dallas is going to be.
And
what do you think?
What's the Don Meredith you said on Monday Night Football? The party's
Party's
over.
over. Yeah,
Dallas is at home.
but they've had
I
a good
agree.
year. They've had
Dallas
a
is
good
at
year.
home.
Yeah.
They're really good at home on defense at home for whatever reason. I think Dallas smokes them.
I was at that game last year in Green Bay and saw Green Bay beat Dallas.
Yeah, you did.
I was there.
I mean, you never can count a team
Now,
out.
I'm going to say this about Dallas, though. If they get by this one, they're done.
They're done. Oh, they're done. That party's over.
If they
for
go on
them.
the road, they're done.
Okay. All right. So let's move on from that one. You picking Dallas?
I'm taking Dallas.
All right. Okay.
And I'll take them to cover the 7.5.
I ain't.
Los Angeles at Detroit.
I'm going to surprise y'all on this one.
You're not
No,
picking
you ain't.
Los Angeles.
I'm going with the
No, you're
Rams.
not.
I am.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm going to tell you because Stafford's coming home. He's the better quarterback over Goff. But the way that running game for the Rams has gotten the last half, think about how well they played the last part of the season. Really
And
well.
that weather won't affect that game.
No,
either.
it
And
won't.
the big news here is the rookie tight end for Detroit is not going to play. He's hurt.
Yeah, he's hurt.
And he's
That
been
hurt.
huge, up 1,000-yard receiver.
That'll hurt their offense.
Well, I tell you what, Detroit's running game to me
He's pretty
with
good.
Gibbs.
Pretty good.
Gibbs has
Pretty
turned it
good.
on the last half of the
Pretty
season.
good.
He has.
I mean, he's a candidate for rookie of the year with
Agreed.
Stroud. And I think that
He
game
will never
the
win
one-
it, but
No,
yeah.
he won't. But he's in the talk. But I think Detroit wins this with their running game with him and Montgomery.
Difference is quarterback.
tough.
I see Goff throwing picks, fumbling, and costing.
Well, Stafford's been known to throw
He
some
has.
picks
He
too,
has. Oh,
so
yeah. I
just
think
be
he's
ready.
I'm gonna
career
go-
leader in the NFL history.
I'm
going
going
to
to go with the Lions because I
Yeah.
really like their.
I'm the only one taking the Rams.
All right. Philadelphia at Tampa Bay, guys. This one right here, I love Philadelphia. They're my second favorite team behind the Titans, of course. And I look at this game and I say, ooh, I want to pick Philadelphia because they're my team. But they've been downtrending so bad, I can't hardly do it. I'm stuck on the fence on this one, guys.
I'm taking the Buccaneers in the upset. Something's not right in Philly.
Exactly right.
And if the rumor is, if Tampa wins this game, they may make a coaching change as well, from what I've read.
Who, the Eagles?
Yep.
It wouldn't surprise me, but I'm taking the Eagles. I mean,
They got the better roster.
Anytime you have the roster like that and your players aren't playing well, who's going to take it? Where's it start? It all starts at the top. And your GM, your owners can say, hey, Bill, I've given you the players. You've got the players. They're not playing the way they're supposed to. It starts with you.
Yeah.
So it starts with that head coach. But I think
How do you
they
get down
will
to the
win
Giants 24-0 last week?
I don't know, man.
How do you get down to the
Something
New York
is
Giants
not right.
24-0?
Something is not right.
And somebody's been blaming this. I heard some talk that the quarterback's coach and offensive coordinator have not been who Jalen Hurts needs the last half of the season. I don't know what they mean by that. What's happened there?
Is his season, hasn't he, his stats and all, aren't they as good as they were last year?
Yeah, but there's not that it factor.
I agree. I agree with that.
Take the
And
tush
here's
push
another
away, they're
thing.
not as good.
Yeah.
And Brown, I don't think will play today.
No, that's a big factor.
It's part of why I'm taking the Buccaneers.
All right. So
Here's
there
the
we have
biggest
it.
letdown with Philadelphia to me. Look at all that talent on defense that they've got. And, man,
They're second.
they have not played
Yeah,
well on
I
defense.
hate to say it. When did their defense start getting worse? And it's probably got nothing to do with it. When they got KB.
You're not wrong. When they got Byard, and Byard
Yeah.
has not played well for them.
He hadn't
You
He
hadn't
just
heard
had-
his name at all.
not much. And I tell you, the guy that came to Tennessee,
I love
he
him
got
to
in and
death.
played some. I mean, he made some good plays down the stretch.
Who's
but,
that?
Edmonds.
Edmonds. Yeah, he played pretty decent. All right, guys. Well, it's going to be an interesting week. We're going to have a lot to talk about next week because I think that a lot of shoes are
Oh,
going to drop.
it's not going, but 1:00 today, it's official at Alabama. I think he's going to have his press conference. And
okay.
I think
Well-
that's a really good hire. And a lot of people, well, he wasn't your first choice.
Yeah.
I don't care.
He's a good
He's
choice.
still a good
Yeah.
choice.
Bill, do you think the Titans will make an announcement this week, or do you think it'll be another couple
Oh no,
of weeks?
I think you're looking at. I think she's going to be very wide net and interview. And some of these guys, you're not going to be able to interview them until they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't look for anything rash.
But here's the thing with them. It may not be next week, but it's got to be pretty quick because whoever they're going to hire needs to be in before they start playing these college football senior games, the
Senior Bowl and
the
the
Senior
West Ride
Bowl
game.
and all that stuff, so they can go down. I know the
Yeah.
GM will be down there, but it helps when you've got a coordinator, a head coach, and somebody else that.
Well, guys,
And unlike in previous times, I look for wholesale changes to the Titans staff. I don't see many holdovers at all.
I think you're correct.
gonna have to. Have to.
Some of these coaches have been here. Some of the coaches up there have been there since
They got roots.
Munchak.
They got
No,
roots.
some of
They
them
got
have.
some roots, and they're gonna get uprooted.
I think so too.
All right, guys, it's time for us to sign off here. We've been going for a good while, but a lot of stuff happening in the world of football, and I look forward to what happens this coming week, so we can, and also.
Be careful this next
we got
few days. We got some
Yeah.
weather coming in. So
I'm thinking that a lot of our basketball games are going to get affected by this snow
I
coming
agree.
in and might have some cancellations.
Just the cold weather being as bad as it's going to be on
but
Tuesday.
stay tuned in to Shelbyville now. We're going to have weather updates later today.
Let's thank our sponsors again
Yes,
too, David.
absolutely.
Yeah.
First Bank of Shelbyville here on Madison Street. Go check out Brent Kennedy and gang for all your banking needs. Kincaid
Service company.
Go check those guys out down there. Been there for years and years and years. One of the oldest businesses in Shelbyville and Bedford County. And Service is their middle name, Bill.
It is.
Service. You can't top them. And also we have Corner Cleaners, Miss Susie Johnson, out on North Main Street for all your cleaning needs, plus Tux Rentals, other little gadgets they've got in there. She sold candles during Christmas. She's always got something in the office there, right in the reception area where you bring your stuff in the front door.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something in there that's neat. Go check them out there.
Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And looking forward to the new year.
And we're glad to be back.
Glad to be back.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching today. And watch for us coming up next week, same time, same place. And if we have any breaking news, any big deals, we might throw another little show in there and just talk about it. But thanks for watching.